and they will continue to do that. Yeah, it's a frightening time in which we live right now, but President Trump is committed to keeping all Americans safe, and we look forward to working with you on that.
Great, thank you. How many active cases of threats to the homeland does DOJ currently have open as of today?
Countless. I can't talk about those in this setting either. Obviously, anything pending regarding national security issues. But there is not a day that goes by that we don't discuss the issues that you just brought up with me at the Department of Justice. But I also know that our counterparts at DOD, HSI, the State Department, and all of our agencies are working together to make America safe and, in turn, keep our world safe.
Breaking news overnight, the United States launching airstrikes on Iran. We are now learning it was called Operation Midnight Hammer. The president watching the mission unfold from the Situation Room following the meeting with his national security team. It comes a little more than a week after Israel's surprise attack on Iran aimed at crippling Iran's nuclear program.
This is very much on my mind. I spent 20 years in the military. I spent 5 years in Iraq and Afghanistan. These aren't dots on a board. And, not only American lives abroad, what we saw today, are at risk, but it's also American lives here at home. And I don't want us looking back and going, what if? I want us to, as much as we can, get ahead of it, to give you the resources, the instruments that you need to go out and make sure that we're preventing things from happening, not waiting until after the fact. There was a report, of over 1,500 Iranian nationals that have entered the country illegally over the last several years. Do we know out of those over 1,500 how many of those have been convicted of a crime?
Yeah, I don't have the number of the conviction, but it's well over 1,000 have entered. Yes, I don't know if it's quite up to 1,500, but yes, it's well over 1,000 have entered our country. And I can tell you we are on high alert, and everyone is looking at that very closely.
Just some things just don't line up as far as us. I see the world is on fire now more than ever before, right? Once again, when this budget was submitted, we were a nation at peace, and now things have changed. I look at this, I see law enforcement and national security has a reduction of $645 million, over 1,500 positions. The notes I have, the FBI will implement cost-saving measures. The largest decreases will be in criminal, cyber, response and service branches, and national security branches. FBI's criminal investigation, cyber, and international operations will reduce resources and support various investigations and partnerships. Additionally, the counterintelligence, counterterrorism, threat screening, and weapons of mass destruction programs experience reductions. I mention those things because those, in my eyes, those are the programs that we need more resources to, more manpower to, and not everything's about money. I mean, you alluded to this. A lot of times it's about being more efficient with the things that you're doing. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of the way we're looking to get ahead of any problem sets.
Thank you, and we can do more with less. Of course, you can always do more with more, but we're doing more with less. We're prioritizing, we're refocusing, and the budget request supports $7.5 billion for national security. Also, that's why it's very important, I believe, for all of you to support Big Beautiful Bill. The One Big Beautiful Bill gives us a lot of additional funding at the Department of Justice to carry out our mission. The Senate version gives us $11.82 billion. Currently, the House version gives us $3.3 billion. Hopefully, they will come to a compromise in there, but that's where it will truly help Department of Justice combat all of the issues that you brought up and many others. And thank you for your service to our country, especially now. I didn't realize that you had served in Iraq. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. And thank you for saying that. I mean, resources matter. And the Big Beautiful Bill, we look forward to getting that to the president's desk as soon as possible. Once again, to give you the resources and the tools you need to get ahead of these problems that we see so clearly coming through. I represent nearly half of the southern border. The border is on my mind quite a bit. One of the questions I have, I focus a lot on convicted criminal illegal aliens. Do we know how many illegal aliens have been convicted of a crime in the United States?
Yeah, I can get you those specific numbers. I don't know, but many. I can tell you our prosecutors are indicting and charging illegal aliens constantly, violent crimes, rapes, thefts, many crimes throughout this country. And yes, our borders were wide open. And Congressman, back in September, I went to our border at Yuma, Arizona, not in Texas, but in Yuma. And at our border, what I saw firsthand, we saw IDs just dropped from every country you can imagine. El Salvador, Venezuela, China, every country you can imagine. And of course, I didn't see Iranian driver's license, but they are coming into our country. Yes, we know that's documented, but just walking into our country. And that's why Homeland Security, that's why ICE, that's why the FBI, that's why all of our agencies, DEA, ATF, are all working hand in hand to combat that and to keep Americans safe. And that is what President Trump is committed to doing.
Thank you. Chairman, I yield back.
And the U.S. B-2 stealth bombers hitting 3 sites in Iran considered crucial to the country's nuclear program, including its uranium enrichment facilities, and using 14 massive 30,000-pound bombs for the very first time, designed to penetrate deep underground and destroy the country's heavily protected operations. President Trump calling it a spectacular success.
The U.S. strike follows nearly 50 years of antagonism between the two governments after Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979. And it follows decades of warnings from Israel that Iran was on the verge of making nuclear weapons. A news conference was held just moments ago from the Pentagon. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth revealing the complicated details of this mission that included deception, decoys, and incredible secrecy, saying that Iran's nuclear program has been obliterated. He called the strike bold and brilliant and emphasized how proud he is. We have team coverage of the extraordinary events unfolding this morning, beginning with ABC's Ian Pannell in Tel Aviv. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Janae. This is one of the impact sites for the Iranian barrage on Israel. We're in northern Tel Aviv, just a few hours after America struck 3 nuclear sites inside Iran. This, as you can see, was a residential complex. No military targets here.
This morning, in the wake of U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, Iran launching a barrage of missiles at Israel. A military official telling ABC 20 to 30 were fired. At least 19 people injured in the attacks, missiles landing in 4 areas in the country. In the port city of Haifa, rescuers searching for survivors in this damaged building. And we were in Tel Aviv as the alert sounded.
The air raid siren has just started to sound. We're getting reports that Iran has fired ballistic missiles.
At least one of those missiles making a direct hit in the city. First responders scrambling to the scene. Residential buildings reduced to rubble. We went there too.
This was Iran's response to American bombing of 3 nuclear sites inside the country. Within a few hours, the sirens rang, the bombs landed, and you can see the chaos here on the ground as Israel starts to count the numbers injured and the numbers killed.
Iran claiming it targeted the main airport and a biological research center. President Trump announcing the U.S. military struck 3 nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz and Isfahan, calling the attack very successful. ABC News geolocating this video showing flashes of light and distant explosions in the direction of the Isfahan nuclear facility. The operation carried out by multiple B-2 bombers, according to U.S. officials. The B-2s are capable of flying more than 40 hours and refueling mid-air. They're also the only aircraft that can drop the 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator bombs, known as bunker busters, considered the best chance of penetrating Iran's deep underground nuclear facilities. These satellite images taken before the attack at Fordo, capturing the site from above. A U.S. official confirming a number of bunker busters were dropped. And a number of Tomahawk cruise missiles were also fired at targets inside Iran from a U.S. Navy submarine. Now, Iranian authorities and the International Atomic Energy Agency reporting there are no signs of radiation leakage around the 3 sites, adding residents nearby are safe. In the immediate aftermath of the U.S. bombing, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking President Trump.
History will record that President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime the world's most dangerous weapons. His leadership today has created a pivot of history that can help lead the Middle East and beyond to a future of prosperity and peace.
Israel had been lobbying for US assistance as it launched more attacks on Iran overnight and this morning.
Iran reserves all options to defend its security interests and people.
Iran's foreign minister responding to the US attacks, calling them outrageous and warning Iran will respond as necessary.
Well, the Iranians vowing revenge, laying the blame on America throughout Israel's bombing campaign for supporting Israel. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces have been speaking, saying they need to do a battlefield assessment. In other words, work out exactly how successful the US bombing was. They were asked whether or not Iran had moved this potentially dangerous, highly enriched uranium from the Fordo site that the US bombed. The answer was it's too early to say. They still need to look at it.
Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
But there is not a day that goes by that we don't discuss the issues that you just brought up with me at the Department of Justice. But I also know that our counterparts at DOD, HSI, the State Department, and all of our agencies are working together to make America safe and, in turn, keep our world safe.
Instead, this administration breaks the law with reckless abandon. President Trump, like every other American, must follow the law. Russ Vought must follow the law. Secretaries Noem and Kennedy and McMahon must follow the law. And we must understand why your department is complicit in law-breaking from the highest office. I yield back.